welcome to today's meditation time. These few moments that we get to spend together as the day is closing out, the new week is beginning, and we have a chance to do something really special for ourselves by drawing our attention into this present moment where we are, in this space where we have found ourselves, and for just a little bit, let all the distractions, let all the negativity, let all the noise, whatever it is, just let it go for just these few minutes. And so I would invite you each where you are, the same as where I am, for us just to get comfortable in our space and then start to find a rhythm of breath that feels good for you. Not the breath that you've had all day long with your busyness and your rushing and your chores, but just find a rhythm that feels nurturing, filling you up as you breathe in and allowing you to just anchor to the place where you're seated as you breathe out. And so as you're beginning to settle in and finding a connection to your breath, the next few times that we are together, we're going to focus on one of the different precepts or principles of what yoga and meditation give to us in our lives. And these ideas are the ways that we interact with each other and the ways that we interact with ourselves. And the first one that'll be the focus of these few minutes that we have today is called Ahimsa. And so I'll talk to you in just a moment about what that is and why it is such an important foundational principle, not just for yoga and meditation, but for our lives. But first, what I'd like us to do is let's start to breathe together. So you found a good rhythm of breath that feels nurturing, and as your eyes are gently closed, now let's unite this space, this community, with our breath. So just slowly take a deep breath in and just as slowly let it go. Slowly take a deep breath in and just as slowly let it go. One more time, breathe in and breathe out. And then just continue with that rhythm that feels right for you. But there's something incredible, even across the spaces where we are, across the technology that unites us, there's something incredible about uniting us with our breath. This collective breathing in and breathing out. And as we've settled in here and we're breathing together, I want to share with you this idea of the concept of ahimsa. It's a Sanskrit word, and actually the word himsa means harm or violence. And anytime in Sanskrit that you put an A in front of something, it means not. So what that means is not harming, not having violence. And it's the first principle or the first precept of all things connected to yoga and meditation and mindfulness. And most of us can say to ourselves, well, check, I've got that one. I don't harm things. I'm not a violent person. But what I'd like for us to do in these few minutes that we have is look at ahimsa a little more internally. Look at it from how we take care of ourselves, how we schedule our time, how we speak to ourselves, how we look at ourselves in the mirror, what we bring into our space, into our eyes, into our heart. And so when you think about ahimsa, when you start to really study it and understand it a little bit better, you really begin to understand why it's the first principle of everything connected to yoga. You know, meditation has its own part within yoga. It's its own limb, its own practice. But then yoga is this big overarching concept that brings it all together, and it all starts with non-harming. And so I want us just to think for just a few minutes here together how often we rush. And then we get to where we're going and our temper is short. Our perspective is a little impatient. Our tone is maybe a little less forgiving, a little less compassionate. All because we rushed for whatever reason. And then think about a time when you've overscheduled yourself. You've overcommitted. You've said yes to too many things or too many people, even if they were all worthy and good and seemingly necessary in the moment, you've committed more than you can physically and energetically give. And just like that concept of rushing, all of a sudden, your temper is short. Your ability to be compassionate and patient is less. Frustrations begin to rise up. And sometimes you even resent the same things that you thought were so worthy of your time when you committed. We're all guilty of both of these things. We all rush. We all put things off. We all hurry. And we all overschedule and overcommit ourselves. Some of us more than others, but we've all done it. And y'all, that is a form of not practicing Ahimsa. And it sounds so tiny on the surface. But when you think about it, what you've done by rushing and hurrying and not giving yourself a fair amount of time, or by overscheduling yourself and committing to things that are more than you can do, you've harmed your ability to be peaceful and calm and compassionate and patient. And what yoga teaches us is that's the same kind of harm as if you were doing something physical, the things that we think we'd never do. But we don't think twice about rushing. And we don't think twice about saying yes to everything. And so what I'd like for us to do in just these few minutes that we have, through our quiet time in just a second, is through the breath, make some new commitments to yourself. Make commitments to do things that nurture your ability to take care of yourself in compassionate and patient and gracious ways, rather than not being mindful or intentional and then inadvertently causing yourself harm, causing your temper to be short, your compassion to be less, and your frustration to rise. There's a lot of other ways to think about Ahimsa, and we'll explore more things as we go through these next few days. And you'll see why it is such the foundation of all things yoga, from which comes all things meditation. It's very difficult for us to think about showing Ahimsa, this idea of non-harming to the world, to the environment, to other people, when we can't quite do it for ourselves. So let's start there. Let's not feel guilty about the times that we rushed. Let's not feel shame about the times that we've overscheduled ourselves. Here in this moment, with this next breath coming in, let's start fresh. Let's start new and doing our very best to nurture and develop our ability to not harm ourselves. And so I'd like for us to do this just through a few affirmations that will lead us into our quiet time. And my goal in sharing these is that maybe in the quiet space, when there's no more talking, those affirmations can hold space for you and hold space for me. So that as we finish our meditation time, we go on about our evening and our day and our week, these words will just stay with us. They've held space here, and they will hold space as we head into the events of tomorrow and the days to follow. So let's just take a couple more breaths here together, collectively, breathing in nice and slowly, and breathing out completely. Breathing in nice and slowly. Breathing out completely. And the affirmations I want to share, the first one says, I am filled with compassion for myself. I am filled with compassion for myself. And what that affirmation means is that when I look at myself in the mirror, when I plan my schedule, when I schedule the amount of rest that I'm going to get, and I think about the things that I'm going to interact with, because I am filled with compassion for myself, I'm going to choose well. I'm going to choose the good and the healthy decisions that will take care of me and my well-being. I am filled with compassion for myself. And then the other affirmation that will hold space as we grow quiet in just a few seconds says, my compassion for others springs from my compassion for myself. My compassion for others springs from my compassion for myself. And so let's just sit quietly together and let those two affirmations just hold space. I am filled with compassion for myself, and my compassion for others springs from my compassion for myself. If your mind begins to wander, just go back and just say the word compassion again and again and again. And your focus will come back to the present moment. And through it all, continue to breathe. Take another slow, deep breath in and let it go. One more slow, deep breath in and let it go. And as we prepare to close our time and re-enter our day and finish our list and go about the activities that need our attention, my hope for each of us, including myself, is that we will do it from a lens of compassion. That is the first step to practicing this idea of Ahimsa, of not causing harm to ourselves. So may we each act with compassionate hearts, compassionate minds, and as we look upon ourselves in the mirror with compassionate eyes as well. And let's let that be how we start our week and how we walk our path. Namaste.